All right, buckle up because today's deep dive,
Mm.
well, it takes us right to the edge of something huge. A deep dive into a PhD thesis, no less, about the future of precision medicine. We're talking about the kind of research that could completely change healthcare as we know it.
Yeah, what's really cool is we're getting inside the head of the researcher themselves, someone who's actually building and using these AI models in a clinical setting.
Exactly. We're not just getting the what of precision medicine, but the how and the why straight from the source. So, ready to unpack this.
Absolutely, let's do it.
Okay, let's start with the basics. For anyone who's hearing precision medicine and thinking buzzword,
Mhm.
what are we actually talking about here?
It's more than a buzzword. It's a fundamental shift in how we think about healthcare. For years, it's been a one-size-fits-all approach, right? But the more we learn, the more we realize our bodies are way too complex for that. Precision medicine is about ditching the generic and going for truly personalized care.
Okay, so less like buying off the rack and more like a tailored suit, custom made for you?
A perfect analogy. And the thesis actually uses a pretty intense example to show this: necrotizing soft tissue infections, or NSTIs.
NSTIs, those sound kind of scary.
They can be, they're rare, but we're talking about infections that can spread like wildfire, and they're really hard to treat. The researcher actually chose them as an example because with NSTIs, getting the right treatment to the right patient immediately, that can be the difference between life and death.
Wow, yeah, in that kind of situation where every second counts, the average approach just wouldn't cut it.
Exactly. What works for one person might not work for another, even with the same diagnosis. That's the problem with averages. They ignore the individual. And that's what precision medicine is trying to fix.
Makes sense. So how do you even begin to personalize medicine at that level?
It all starts with data.
Mm.
And not just your basic medical history. We're talking genetics, lifestyle, what's in your environment, all the things that make you, well, you. It's about creating a complete picture of each patient.
Like a jigsaw puzzle, but instead of a picture, you're building a roadmap to someone's health.
I like that. And with that roadmap, we can do some incredible things like developing drugs that work better and have fewer side effects.
Now, that's something I think we'd all be interested in. Less time feeling awful from the side effects, more time getting better.
Exactly. And it's not just about treatment either. Imagine being able to diagnose diseases earlier, sometimes even before you have symptoms, all thanks to biomarkers.
So it's like having an early warning system that's personalized for your body. That's huge.
It is. And in the long run, that means better outcomes for patients, and it could even mean lower healthcare costs.
Sounds like a win-win to me. But I know we've only scratched the surface of how this all works. So let's talk about AI.
Because when you have this much data, you need a powerful tool to make sense of it all. That's where AI comes in.
All right, so we've got this picture of precision medicine, this future where healthcare is tailored to each person. But you mentioned AI. Where does that fit into all of this?
Well, think about it. We're talking about mountains of information, genetics, lifestyle factors, environmental data. It's massive. AI can sift through all that, connect the dots. It can see patterns that humans just can't.
Like having a super detective on the case, except instead of solving crimes, it's figuring out our health.
Exactly. And this thesis goes deep on how AI is being used. One thing that caught my eye was clinical decision support systems, or CDSS.
CDSS. Okay, you're going to have to break that down for me.
Sure, imagine an AI assistant for doctors. It helps them make faster, more informed decisions. For example, remember those NSTIs we talked about?
Yeah, those nasty infections.
Right, so the researcher actually created a CDSS that can predict how likely a patient is to survive an NSTI. And it's incredibly accurate.
Whoa, so the AI looks at all that patient data and gives a doctor an idea of their chances.
Precisely. That kind of AI guidance could be revolutionary, especially in those really time-sensitive situations where getting the right treatment fast is critical.
Yeah, I can see that being incredibly valuable. But AI can do more than predict outcomes.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm.
Another area that's showing a lot of promise is patient stratification. Essentially, AI can group patients based on their unique characteristics. And it can even tell you who's likely to respond to a certain treatment and who's not.
So instead of one size fits all, you're using AI to figure out which patients a particular drug or therapy would be best for.
You got it. Let's say you have two patients with the same type of cancer. AI can analyze all their data, their genetic profiles, their medical histories, the whole 9 yards, and determine which one is more likely to benefit from a specific treatment, like immunotherapy.
Wow, taking all the guesswork out of medicine. So we've talked diagnosis, we've talked treatment. What about prevention? Does this research touch on that at all?
It does. And this is where it gets really cool. We're talking about the human epigenome.
Okay, full disclosure, not totally sure what the epigenome is.
Think of it like this. Your DNA is like a blueprint, right? It's got all the instructions for building and running your body. Well, the epigenome is like a set of switches that can turn genes on or off. It controls how those instructions are actually used. And get this, the things we do, our environment, our lifestyle choices, those can actually flip those switches.
Wait, so you're telling me what I eat, how much I exercise, even stress, can actually change how my genes are expressed?
Exactly.
Mhm.
And AI is giving us the tools to understand this incredibly complex system better than ever before.
Mind blown. So you're saying AI could potentially look at my epigenome and tell me if I'm at higher risk for certain diseases based on how I live my life?
You're getting it. And it's not just about identifying risk. We're talking about personalized prevention. Imagine AI recommending specific diet and exercise changes, even medications, tailored to your unique genetic and epigenetic makeup, all to reduce your chances of getting sick in the first place. That's the power of AI in this field.
Okay, I'm getting it. AI could completely change the game when it comes to healthcare. But it does make you wonder, with all this talk about algorithms and data, are we putting too much trust in machines? I mean, this is our health we're talking about.
That's a huge question, and it's something this thesis really digs into. The researcher is a big advocate for something called explainable AI,
I
particularly in medicine.
Explainable AI. So we don't just want the AI to give us an answer, we need to know how it got there.
Exactly. Imagine an AI telling a doctor, this patient have a high risk of developing this disease.
Hmm.
Okay, useful information, but wouldn't you want to know why the AI came to that conclusion?
100%. Otherwise, how can doctors really trust these recommendations? How can they feel confident making decisions based on what the AI is telling them?
Exactly. Explainable AI is about transparency, being able to look under the hood and understand how the AI thinks. It builds trust, but it also helps us spot any biases that might be lurking in there.
Because as much as we like to think technology is neutral, AI is only as good as the data it learns from, right?
Right. If the data is not diverse enough, if it doesn't represent everyone equally, the AI can make mistakes or even be biased in its predictions. Explainable AI lets us examine the algorithms, see if there are any blind spots, and correct them. That's how we make sure everyone gets fair and accurate treatment.
That's so important. So it's not just about AI that works, it's about AI that we understand and trust. Was there anything about how this researcher approached that stood out to you?
You know, it's really cool. This researcher is all about collaboration. They talk about their experience working with a whole team, doctors, biologists. You've got the ethicists in there, and of course the other computer scientists.
Makes sense, because with something this complex, no one person can be an expert in everything.
Exactly. You need people who really understand the human body. You need the data science wizards. And you need people thinking through the ethics of it all. It takes a village.
This has been incredible. It really feels like we're on the verge of a revolution in healthcare.
We are. But like any revolution, there will be bumps along the way. We have to think about data privacy. We have to make sure everyone has access to this technology. And we have to keep the conversation going with the public, be open and transparent about what we're doing.
Because in the end, it's about giving patients more control, not less, right?
Absolutely. Precision medicine isn't about replacing doctors. It's about giving them the best possible tools and information so they can make the best decisions for their patients.
This deep dive has been seriously eye-opening. The potential of AI to personalize healthcare is mind-blowing, but it's also a huge responsibility. We have to make sure it's ethical, transparent, and benefits everyone. Thanks so much for breaking it all down for us.
My pleasure. Always happy to nerd out about this stuff.
Until next time.